a great affinity for the state of Texas. Right now, as we stand, we have legislation pending in the Supreme Court to reclaim all of our indigenous homeland. If we're successful in that effort, we're going to take Texas back. And we're going to kick out everybody else out. How's that sound? Except all you folks from around the Bastrop area. You've all been real good, real friendly, good company, and your hospitality has been great. So when that happens, we're going to let all you people stay, but everybody else goes. My name is Don Patterson, and I'm a member of the Tonkawa tribe, and I'm kind of the unofficial historian, spiritual leader of our tribe, responsible for teaching and maintaining and trying the very best to perpetuate and carry on the tradition and culture of our people. My grandmother was one of the very first children born on the reservation when the Tonkawa tribe left Texas in 1884, never to return again. And for the last 112 years, we've been residing in north central Oklahoma, up near the Kansas border, near a little town that's called Tonkawa, also named after the tribe that was moved there. My grandmother was one of the very first children born to the Tonkawa tribe on the reservation. My mother was a Tonkawa, and I'm a Tonkawa. I'm also part white, but I can't prove it. I thought you'd get a kick out of that. Earlier this morning, I was up in the grounds up here, and a guy walked up to me and he said, I'm part Tonkawa, but I can't prove it. So that makes us even. I think we're about ready to begin the program. And I see Chester up there giving me the go sign. So we'll begin the program here, ladies and gentlemen. And I'd like to, first of all, introduce a couple of young ladies and make an explanation. So if you'd bear with me as I go along, I'll try to explain to you during the hour that we've been allotted here for this program what's taking place. Of course, you have to imagine and understand, too, that this is a pageant that we're performing for your education and enjoyment. At home, when we perform ceremonial dances, ceremonial activities, there's always a certain cultural protocol that applies. We will have to dismiss with a lot of that today under these conditions. But always in the beginning, we always are prayerful, we always are mindful of who gave us life, who created us, and who gave us the essence of our being. We always acknowledge our God. In the very beginning, we always begin with a prayer, generally rendered by one of the elders of our tribe and community. And we're going to do likewise here today. And we've called on a couple of young ladies from our tribal community here, and we've changed the format just a little bit so that you might enjoy the program a little bit more. But I'd like to introduce, standing out in front in the traditional buckskin clothing. You will notice a very elaborate dress, and this is handmade Indian tan buckskin with hand-sewn beadwork and various other applique applied. And this is Melissa Cornell, one of the members of our tribal community. And behind me, standing just to the side of me, this young lady here is Marilyn Cornell. These are sister-in-laws, and they get along real good, and we're certainly pleased to have them come down today. And as a change of format somewhat, we're going to render the invocation in a different way for your enjoyment. So I'm going to ask Marilyn here. She has a very beautiful voice, and she's going to sing in English for us the Lord's Prayer. And Melissa, in the buckskin clothing out there, will sign the Lord's Prayer in Indian Sign Language. This is not deaf-mute sign language. This is Indian Sign Language. So she will sign the Lord's Prayer as Marilyn sings the Lord's Prayer, and this will serve as an invocation for this activity. So if you all would be reverent and give us your patience and indulgence for just a moment. Marilyn, please.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Would you reverence, please? Okay, thank you, ma'am. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever.
Thank you, Melissa and Marilyn. Hey, how about that? That was really nice, wasn't it? Boy. I taught Marilyn how to sing like that. Oh, Marilyn's one of our favorites. Both of them are. We're very proud of the talent that we have in our community. As you can well imagine, that as time goes on, in any culture, much gets lost and gets forgotten as the young people grow up and tend to go the ways of the white man, the dominant society. It's taking its toll, but we do our very best to maintain. Now, for your enjoyment here, we're going to perform a bit of pageantry. And what we're going to do is tell a story to you and dance. Now, let me ask a question. How many Christians among you here? Good. How many are not? That's good too. I ask that question because, and I'm not picking on Christians. We love everybody. But I wanted to use this example because it's one that we're most familiar with. Now, in your teaching, your religion, your understanding, how did we get here? How did we come to this place? Where did it all start? Who knows? Who's got the answer? According to our religious teaching, it began where? Where? In the beginning was the Word. When did people start? Adam and Eve, right? The creation. Where was it? Where's that? Nobody knows. Don't get mad at me now. I'm just having fun with you. It all started with the creation somewhere in the Garden of Eden, but nobody knows where it's at. Well, this is where we differ from everybody else among us in our tribe. We believe also in a supreme being, one God, the creator of all that is. And he gave us life. He created the very first person. And according to the Tonkawa and according to their understanding, the very first person created was a Tonkawa Indian. And it happened right here in Texas. And the good part about it is we know exactly where it happened. And so when we tell a story about the creation and acknowledge God as the giver of life, we can take you right to the very spot. And just a few miles from here, 50 or 60 miles in the vicinity of Hearne. Anybody here from Hearne? Does anybody know where Hearne, Texas is? Okay. About 10 or 15 miles southwest of Hearne, there's a little town called Gause, right in the Gause and Milan area. You know where that's at? Right outside of Gause, about a mile and a half, just on the north side of Gause, out near the confluence of the Brazos and the Little River, is a small mountain that the residents today call Sugarloaf. But in our day, when the Tonkawa tribe lived here, that place was called La Tortuga in Spanish, means the turtle. Because in the Tonkawa language, they referred to that place as Turtle Mountain. And according to their mythology and understanding, the creation of man took place at the foot of La Tortuga. So we know where our Garden of Eden is. And it's not very far from here. And I'm going to tell you a story, and we're going to act it out somewhat in dance drama for your enjoyment. But let me explain a little bit as we go. And I'm going to ask you to use your imagination, if you will, and try to think about a time way back, so far back that there were no human beings. There were no human beings on this earth. God had created all of this, but there were no persons. There were animals, birds, fishes in the water, and other creatures. And in those days, those creatures, they talked and they acted and they behaved pretty much like men do today, or like humans do today. They talked and they communicated and they could respond to one another. And that's the way it was in those days, before there were man. And there was one particular creature who was native to this area, who was also God's creation, and he was specially assigned by God, and he had a divine commission. And he was called Hatsukana in our language, Hatsukana. Hatsukana is a prairie wolf. And he was given that name because if you break down the name and study the word, Hach means land or earth. And Sukana means to own. And so his name means he owns the earth. Hatsukana. And he was a prairie wolf. Today we refer also to the coyote by the same name. Coyote or the prairie wolf goes by the same name. And he was given that divine commission to look after the earth, and he was considered the owner thereof, and had a great responsibility. And one day, one time, in a moment of God's thinking, he was commissioned also to do another thing. And as he was walking along the prairie, he was inspired by this higher spirit, this higher power, to move in the direction of La Tortuga. Now, if you'll use your imagination, you see this mountain behind me here? This green mountain? This is a mountain. This is La Tortuga, the turtle. It's shaped kind of like a turtle. The Indians thought, the Tonkawas particularly, thought that this mountain looked like a giant tortoise or a giant turtle. from the horizon. I asked the prop builders here to build this out of red material because we call it Red Mountain. Perhaps the chief engineer here is colorblind. We got a green one instead. So imagine that this is Red Mountain, okay? This is Red Mountain, and Hatsukana and all of his kind was directed toward this mountain one bright and sunny day, somewhat like today. I'm going to play some music because I can't talk and sing at the same time, and so they're going to dance out the story for you. Tonkawa was attracted and given divine instruction to travel toward the vicinity of the sacred mountain. Hatsukana didn't choose to go in this direction, but a higher power was directing him, and so he was responding, not of his will, but according to the will of the Creator. And as they approached the foot of the mountain, they were still compelled to go against their will And as the Creator instructed them, they began to dig. And they began to dig very ferociously, as you could imagine a group of Hachokana, a group of prairie wolves would do.